sometimes it happens player to player.
A viral clip showing Luka Dončić straight up ignoring JJ Reddick's fist bump blew up all over social media, and within hours, wild reports started flying that he dropped an ultimatum to the Lakers: fire the coach or he's out. But the truth behind that moment runs way deeper, tying into a pattern that's already wrecked one franchise before. And it all kicked off with that sideline clash everyone couldn't stop watching. On February 28, 2026, in a packed arena, the Los Angeles Lakers were cruising to an easy 129-101 win over the Golden State Warriors, looking completely in control. But something went down that had nothing to do with the scoreboard and everything to do with the future of the team. The game was basically over, no drama on the court. Yet what happened on that bench in the third quarter sent shockwaves across the league and had people talking nonstop for weeks. Luka got subbed out by head coach JJ Reddick, and Reddick reached out for a simple fist bump, just a normal sign of support you see all season long. But Luka walked right past him like it wasn't even there. That quick moment got caught on camera, clipped by fans, and in less than 48 hours, it racked up over 2.7 million views, turning into a full-blown online storm. Reddick didn't brush it off either. He stepped right up and confronted Luka on the bench in front of teammates, cameras, and everyone watching. The audio got picked apart all over the internet, and what people heard had fans stunned. Reddick pressing Luka about what was going on, Luka brushing it off like nothing happened, and Reddick firing back with words that definitely weren't straight out of a clean coaching handbook. The whole NBA online scene lit up instantly, and it only got louder because this wasn't some one-time thing with Luka, not even close. Here's what casual fans don't always catch: this kind of attention around Luka isn't random, and it's not unfair. It comes with being one of the most talented and most talked about players in the world. As one analyst said on a Lakers-focused show,
Luka also gets held to a high standard because he's Luka.
There's a certain level of expectation that follows him everywhere, and it's built on years of history that people can't ignore. And that history didn't just appear out of nowhere. It's tied to a long track record of tension with coaches that goes all the way back to the start of his NBA journey. Luka was drafted 3rd overall in 2018, traded from Atlanta to Dallas on draft night, and immediately handed control of the franchise. Under head coach Rick Carlisle, he got massive praise early on, with comparisons to legends like Larry Bird and Magic Johnson, and he was given full freedom on offense right from game one. But behind the scenes, things weren't as smooth as they looked. Problems started building quietly, and nobody outside the organization really saw it coming. The first real issue showed up with Dennis Smith Jr., who had built a real friendship with Luka during their rookie year. But Carlisle and the front office didn't see Smith as part of the long-term plan. In a team meeting that first season, Carlisle accused Smith of being jealous of Luka, a claim that several players thought came out of nowhere and only created tension. Luka didn't take that lightly at all. He saw it as an attempt to turn him against his own teammate, and that moment planted the first real seeds of distrust between him and his coach. From there, things only got worse. Carlisle later called out Salah Mejri, Luka's former Real Madrid teammate and someone he looked up to, right in front of others, which didn't sit well at all. That move hit deeper than just basketball, because Mejri had been a key support system for Luka while adjusting to life in the NBA, and seeing him get publicly criticized added even more strain to an already tense situation. The release of veteran JJ Barea in 2020 didn't just clear a roster spot, it quietly removed one of the last steady voices holding that locker room together, and things started to crack fast. By January 2021, the tension between Luka Dončić and Rick Carlisle wasn't hidden anymore. It spilled right onto the court for everyone to see. During a game, Luka snapped and shouted, "Who's in charge? You or Bob?" calling out the growing influence of analytics consultant Haralabos Voulgaris, which had already been frustrating players behind the scenes. That moment wasn't random. It was the boiling point. The locker room had been dealing with internal friction for months, and now it was out in the open. Not long after, Carlisle stepped down following the 2021 playoffs. Technically, he wasn't fired, but the situation had clearly reached a point where continuing together just wasn't possible anymore. Reports even said a planned trip to Slovenia to rebuild the relationship with Luka got canceled at Luka's own request, and that silence said everything without needing a statement. Colin Cowherd later broke this pattern down in the simplest way possible while talking about the Lakers situation, pointing to something deeper than just disagreements.
And when you watch Luka on a nightly basis, do you think sometimes when he kind of mails it in is the wrong word, he becomes a little dispassionate
That ability Luca has to emotionally disconnect in the middle of competition, cutting himself off from coaches and teammates in real time, has been at the center of nearly every coaching clash he's had throughout his career. And that's exactly why that viral 2026 sideline moment hit so hard and felt so serious for the Lakers. Luca has never been the type to go public with demands or ultimatums. That's not his style at all. But history shows that when things go sideways with a coach, it usually doesn't end well for that coach. That's why a simple 10-second clip of him ignoring JJ Reddick's fist bump sent shockwaves everywhere and had people asking one big question: is this happening again? After the Carlisle era collapsed, Jason Kidd was brought in as the fix, the answer to everything that went wrong. A Hall of Famer, someone with international ties and a background that made him feel like a better fit for Luca on a personal level. When Kidd took over in 2021, the Mavericks believed they finally had the right connection in place. And at first, it looked like they were right. The energy around the team improved quickly. Communication between Luca and the coaching staff got smoother, and the results showed on the court. In 2022, Dallas made a strong run to the Western Conference Finals, powered by Luca's incredible playoff performance, averaging 31.7 points per game. It looked like everything had finally clicked. But underneath that success, the same cracks were forming again, just in a different way. This time, the tension wasn't about control or front office influence, it got personal. The focus shifted to Luca's conditioning and his day-to-day habits, and that's where things started to get uncomfortable. Kidd didn't keep it private either. He openly called out Luca's conditioning and his constant back and forth with referees. He pushed Luca to stop arguing calls so much, making it clear that it was hurting the team's rhythm and leaving gaps on defense. And then there was the weight issue, which became impossible to ignore as the season went on. Luca's ideal playing weight hovered around 245 pounds, but reports had him regularly sitting between 250 and 255, even climbing into the 260s at certain points. One team source reacted bluntly, questioning how a player logging heavy minutes could actually gain weight during the season. That frustration wasn't just talk. It reflected a real concern building inside the organization, and it showed up on the court in ways that stood out immediately. The drop in explosiveness wasn't subtle. It was obvious and measurable in real time for anyone watching closely. Analysts started pointing it out more and more, especially when comparing different stretches of Luca's performance.
Kind of accentuated some of these warts. Doesn't have as much burst going to the basket as he used to. It's crazy. You look back with Luca towards his early career,
and it became a growing topic around the league.
He used to get a dunk every couple weeks. Now it's like he might get one a season. You know what I mean? Like, there's a difference in the level of explosive.
That physical decline fed directly into the tension with the coaching staff, because every attempt the Mavericks made to address conditioning, whether through staff changes or new systems, was met with resistance from Luca. He pushed back against those adjustments, creating even more friction behind the scenes. Then things hit even closer to home. The Mavericks began making decisions that affected Luca's inner circle, the people he trusted most. In 2023, Director of Player Health Casey Smith was let go. After the 2023-24 season, strength coach Jeremy Holsopple and therapist Casey Spangler were also dismissed, both of whom had strong personal relationships with Luca. That crossed a different line completely. Luca's reaction was short and direct. They get rid of everybody. And it captured just how personal the situation had become as the organization kept making moves that chipped away at the support system he relied on. Luca's response to all that pressure? He didn't wait around, he took full control himself. He built his own personal performance team straight from Real Madrid, bringing in strength coach Andre Milic, physiotherapist Javier Barrio Calvo, and nutritionist Lucia Almendros, paying every single one out of his own pocket. That move might sound smart, but it instantly created tension, with communication breaking down between his private staff and the Mavericks in-house team. Now you've got two different systems, two different voices, and zero alignment. That's a recipe for chaos. It added even more dysfunction to a situation that was already hanging by a thread, and everything started moving toward a breaking point fast. Then came the moment nobody saw coming. On February 1st, 2025, the Mavericks pulled off a shocking 3-team trade with the Utah Jazz, sending Luca to the Los Angeles Lakers. In return, Dallas received Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and a 2029 first-round pick. GM Nico Harrison defended the move by saying defense wins championships and claimed Davis fit both the present and the future. But behind the scenes, the real story was way more complicated. That looming Supermax extension, 5 years, $346 million, was sitting over the franchise like a ticking clock. Dallas had serious concerns about committing that kind of money to a player with ongoing questions around conditioning, defense, and long-term durability. And the way the trade went down only made everything worse. Harrison finalized the deal without telling Jason Kidd or Luca beforehand. The moment Luca found out, he cut off all communication completely. His father, Sasha, didn't stay quiet either, telling the media, "You traded him. Stand by your actions, but don't look for excuses." That reaction said everything about how messy things had become. The fallout hit instantly and hard. Assistant coach Marko Milic walked away, not willing to stay without Luca. Player development coach God Shamgod left after the season and openly called out what he saw as deep dysfunction inside the organization. Fans organized protests demanding Harrison be fired, while online forums exploded, calling it one of the worst trades the league had ever seen. And then things on the court fell apart too. Anthony Davis went down with another injury. Kyrie Irving suffered a torn ACL, and the entire Mavericks season collapsed into chaos. What was supposed to be a bold reset turned into a full rebuild centered around 2025 #1 pick Cooper Flagg. Meanwhile, over in Los Angeles, the reaction couldn't have been more different. Major outlets praised the move as a massive win, with CBS Sports giving it an A+ grade. GM Rob Pelinka called Luca a one-of-a-kind young global superstar, and the Lakers immediately went on a strong run after the trade. Analysts like John Hollinger labeled the deal a no-brainer, and the hype around Luca in LA shot through the roof. But in all that excitement, one key detail got ignored. Every issue that caused problems in Dallas didn't just disappear, they came with him. The conditioning concerns, the constant arguments with referees, the tension with coaches, the emotional swings, all of it followed him straight to Los Angeles. And less than a year into his Lakers run, those same problems started showing up again in ways that were hard to ignore. On March 8, 2026, during a 110-97 win over the New York Knicks, Luca made what the NBA officially called an inappropriate and unprofessional gesture toward a game official. Just 2 days later, he was fined $50,000. That fine pushed him to 15 technical fouls on the season, just one away from an automatic suspension. And this wasn't new either. Back in the 2023-24 season with Dallas, Luca led the entire league with 19 technical fouls, showing this pattern had been building for a while. Colin Cowherd broke it down clearly on his show, putting those numbers into a bigger picture that's hard to ignore.
And now we're a year into Luca. And he's got more technicals than he does defensive stop.
And on the media side, analysts covering the Lakers admitted that some criticism around Luca has gone overboard at times. But they also made it clear that superstars get held to superstar standards, no exceptions.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, I made this point before on my show before, I made this point before on this show. I think it has gone too far at times. I think he's become something of a punching bag, especially on like the national shows or some of the debate TV shows.
One analyst summed it up perfectly: being critical doesn't mean being unfair.
At the same time, I don't think he's above scrutiny or criticism, and
you can recognize when the noise gets out of control while still holding a player accountable for what actually happens on the court. And that's exactly where the Lakers are stuck right now. Because while parts of Luka's narrative have definitely been exaggerated, the core issues aren't made up. They're real, they're visible, and they're starting to impact the team in serious ways. This isn't just about headlines or viral clips anymore. These are patterns that can derail an entire season if they don't get addressed fast. And with the playoffs getting closer, the pressure is building with every single game. So now the big question is staring the Lakers right in the face. What happens next with this version of Luka Dončić? Before diving into the numbers that really expose what's going wrong with this team, it's important to hear JJ Reddick's side of the moment that sparked all this chaos. When he was asked directly about that viral sideline exchange, he didn't panic or dodge the question. He kept it calm and simple.
Yeah, I didn't think much of it at the time, to be honest with you. I don't think Luca did either. He and I have a great relationship. I really value our relationship.
Reddick explained that he actually encourages open communication between players and coaches, saying disagreements are just part of competition. According to him, that whole exchange with Luca felt completely normal to the people involved. Nothing out of control, nothing dramatic behind the scenes.
It just, I don't know why it went viral. It felt very normal to me.
Now that sounds like a coach who isn't worried about his job at all, but whether Reddick feels secure or not, the real issues with this Lakers team go way beyond one sideline clip or any rumor about ultimatums. This is something deeper, something structural, and it's starting to show more with every game. Right now, the Lakers are built around a generational offensive force, putting up insane numbers: 32.1 points, 8.4 rebounds, and 9 assists per game. On paper, that looks unstoppable. It looks like a team ready to dominate. But the reality has been very different, because underneath those stats is a team getting exposed as one of the most flawed contenders in the Western Conference. Colin Cowherd didn't sugarcoat it either. He broke it down in the bluntest way possible.
Is that of the 22 Laker losses, 19 are blowouts. And the team doesn't have a ton of resilience.
Out of the Lakers' 22 losses this season, 19 have been blowouts. That one stat tells the whole story. When things start going bad, this team doesn't fight back. They collapse completely.
And I said, I'm not blaming Luca for everything, because he's a gifted offensive player. But you do kind of follow the lead of your guy.
That's not just a bad night here and there. That's a pattern. And it points straight to a leadership issue that can't be ignored. The franchise player sets the tone every single night, and that energy spreads across the entire roster. When Luka spends multiple possessions arguing with referees while the other team is sprinting down the court for easy points, that frustration doesn't stay with him. It spreads. It hits the starters, it hits the bench, and suddenly the whole team feels disconnected.
Even if LeBron had a bad night, he played his off. I mean, now is different. For 15 years, Kobe, MJ, they had bad shooting nights. They didn't have bad effort nights or bad commitment nights or bad focus nights.
And at the highest level of basketball, that difference is everything. Every superstar has off shooting nights. That's normal. But the all-time greats never check out mentally. They find other ways to impact the game, whether it's defense, playmaking, or pure effort. That's where the gap is starting to show, and it's something people around the team have noticed up close. This isn't just outside noise. It's coming from those who watch him every single day, seeing the difference between raw talent and complete leadership.
Well, to put it very simply, I think if you talk to anybody who covers the Lakers, who roots for them or watches them very closely, Luka's not the emotional leader of the team.
And that reality hits hard for a franchise that's built everything around one player, because nobody is questioning Luka's ability. His talent is undeniable. But at this level, talent without consistent emotional control puts a limit on how far a team can really go.
I would actually argue Luka's ceiling is the highest in the NBA, specifically because he's got that step back three at his size, which is basically unguardable.
When everything is clicking, Luka might be the most dangerous offensive player in the world, no question. But the real issue shows up on the nights when that shot isn't falling and the team needs something else from him.
And to put it very frank, the difference between him and Shea and him and Jokic at this point is Luka is way more prone to bad games.
That's where the drop-off becomes a problem. Compared to other elite players, his floor is lower in key areas. He doesn't attack the rim with the same explosive pressure as Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. He doesn't control the paint possession after possession like Nikola Jokic. And defensively, when you line him up with names like Giannis, Edwards, Shai, or Jokic, he falls behind that group in a big way. Another analyst took it even further, framing the MVP conversation around one key word.
No, the media is not responsible for the fact that Luka hasn't won MVPs. Luka is responsible for the fact that he hasn't won MVPs. Like
accountability. Because that's what separates teams that actually win from teams that just look good in highlights. And the numbers back it all up in a way that's hard to argue with.
And that has carried their record. So here are some crazy stats for you, Colin. The Lakers this season, when they play teams in the bottom 10 in point differential, they're 18-2, which is tied with Oklahoma City for the best in the entire NBA.
The Lakers are 18-2 against the worst teams in the league, which sounds dominant at first. But then comes the reality check. They're 16-20 against everyone else. That's a below .500 record against teams that are actually competitive. And it gets even worse when you zoom in on the best of the best. Against the top 10 teams in point differential, the Lakers are being outscored by 13 points per game. That ranks 28th in the entire NBA. Only the Washington Wizards and Brooklyn Nets have performed worse in those matchups this season. That's not a small issue, that's a serious warning sign, because those are the exact teams you have to beat if you're trying to win a championship. And right now, no matter how great the individual numbers look, no matter how exciting the highlights are, the deeper stats are telling a completely different story about where this team actually stands. The blueprint for beating the Lakers isn't a mystery anymore. It's been figured out, exposed, And now every good team in the league is running it over and over with cold precision. Step 1. Apply full court pressure and force turnovers because the Lakers are giving up 19 points per game off turnovers. That's one of the worst marks in the entire NBA. Step 2. Drop the defense back and chase Luca and Austin Reeves off the three-point line, forcing them into tough mid-range shots that are way harder to convert consistently. Step 3, push the pace and run in transition every chance you get because the Lakers struggle badly there, ranking dead last against top teams in transition defense metrics. And when you combine all of that, the result is brutal. One analyst summed it up in the simplest and most ruthless way possible. Make them quit.
Pick them up full court, run on them all day, run that deep drop coverage. You're not just going to beat the Lakers, you're going to make them quit and blow them out by 20.
Those 3 words hit hard because that's exactly what it's looked like in too many of these games. That's the part that should worry Lakers fans the most. Not just losing, but how they're losing. Colin Cowherd even compared them to the Miami Dolphins, a team that made the playoffs but never felt like a real threat once they got there. So after everything we've broken down, let's get to the big question. Was there actually an ultimatum? Did Luka Dončić really tell the Lakers fire the coach or I quit? The answer is simple. No. ESPN's Dave McMenamin reported that Reddick himself called the situation very normal. Luka also publicly supported his coach, even calling Reddick a special kind of coach. And not a single credible source, ESPN, CBS Sports, The Athletic, none of them have confirmed any ultimatum at all. In fact, a lot of those viral videos pushing that story were doing the opposite. They were actually debunking it while using wild headlines to grab attention. So let's be clear, those words, fire the coach or I quit, were never said by Luka in any verified setting. But here's where it gets serious. Just because the ultimatum wasn't real doesn't mean everything is fine. What's actually happening might be even more dangerous long term. You've got a franchise player with a well-documented history of tension with coaches across multiple teams. You've got a superstar whose emotional swings can impact both ends of the floor in real time. And you've got a generational talent whose brilliance can sometimes hide deeper problems that the team isn't fully addressing. That combination is risky because no matter how talented one player is, there are limits to what individual greatness can fix when the structure around it isn't solid. Right now, the Lakers are projected as a 4 seed in the West. They're most likely heading to the playoffs. But based on everything we've seen, blowout losses, struggles against top teams, defensive breakdowns, it's hard to see a deep run happening. More likely, this ends in an early playoff exit in a series that slips away faster than expected and never really feels close. And that's the reality this team is facing right now, no matter how good the highlights look. If you made it this far, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this with someone who's been following this situation. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Can the Lakers fix this? Or is this who they are? And stay locked in because there's more coming. See you in the next one.